Welcome to my online channel as we continue to go through the games of the second leg of the Grand Chess Tour Rapid and Blitz tournament that's being held in Paris, France. This is a game on board 4 between America's number one GM versus the Russian number one GM. That's Fabiano Carauna versus Ian Nepomniachtchi from Russia. This was a very interesting game in as much as the result was just flat. But it was such an interesting game, so I'll be taking you through this. Uh, Remember, it's a rapid game with 25 minutes, the entire game for each side, with a 10-second increment from move 1. So we had Fabio Corona having the white pieces, and he started the game with d4, very typical Fabio, the queen's pawn game. Ian Nepomniachtchi replied with knight f6. We had knight f3. Trying to have, would it be the Indian game, knight's variation? But let's see. So we had e6 by Ian, c4, Indian game, antonyms are Indian. We have the antonyms are still on board by Ian pushing d5. Knight c3. Now, what this does is it gets into the Queen's Gambit decline, a 3-knight variation game. We had bishop b4. We had bishop b4. Now, bishop b4 just changes everything. It becomes the Queen's Gambit decline. Rigors in defense, having the rigors in defense, that's d38. But these are games that Ian Nepomniachtchi is so used to. He's used such positions. That's still his entire response for d4. We had e3, castling by Ian. He castled the king side. We have bishop d3, c5, castling the king side by Fabio. C times d4, e times d4, d times c4, bishop recaptures on c4, and now b6 to try and evolve the white bishop or the light squared bishop. We have bishop drawing back to d3. Now, this was the first inaccuracy of the game. At this point, of course, we are having the Nimzo Indian defense, a normal variation Gregoric system being deployed by Ian Nepomniachtchi. So Carauna makes his first inaccuracy, but not so bad. It's just within the opening, and a couple of games have been played. If I look at the database, we have a couple of games played with this, and in a number of them ended in a draw. Yeah, at this point, what most people played, well, they played bishop b7 as the next move. Let's see what Carauna plays, and he plays bishop b7 as well as the normal move. So this position has been reached by so many people, and at this point, this position has been reached before by games played elsewhere. We had a3, bishop captured on c3. That's an inaccuracy. Best would have been bishop back to e6. Best would have been bishop back to e7. Yeah, but Ian decides that no, he gets rid of the dark squared bishop by capturing on e3. B captures on c3 and then queen c7 to attack this pawn. This pawn is an attack, so that has to be defended by pushing it to c4. Bishop e4, challenging that bishop. Then Ian responds by bishop. Ian responds by bishop g5. He develops his last piece. Fabio responds by bishop g5, and Ian develops his last piece. That's knight b to d7. We have rook e1, and that's when bishop captures on d3, queen recaptures on d3, and then rook a to c8. We have rook a to c1, ganging up on the c4 pawn. We have h6, kicking away the bishop. Bishop h6. We have knight h5. This knight is trying to have a maneuver. Basically, what he's doing is he's coming here to attack the queen. So we had queen to b3 before it can be attacked. Then we had rook f to e8. We have queen to b5, knight h back to f6. We had a4, queen to b7, and then bishop draws back to g3. Such a formidable structure by Fabio. He plays his game in such a way that king safety is so paramount to him. It's so important that I would say the white's king is much safer here. With all these pieces around the king, it's really safe. a6 to evict the queen, and then queen back to b3. Queen c6. We have h3. Knight e4 attacking the bishop. This knight is attacking this bishop right here. So at that point we have bishop f4 moving out of the way of the knight. We have knight this. We had d5 to try and rip up the center. We had e capturing on d5, rook capturing e8 in check, and then knight captures back. We had c capturing d5, and then queen back to b7. Rook captures c8, queen recaptures on c8, knight 4. Now that's really a very good knight, so centralized. But Ian responds with queens. Ian responds with queen c5. We have knight f5, b5. A captures b5, a recaptures on b5, and then bishop draws back to d2. We have knight d6 challenging this knight, challenging that knight. Sorry, that didn't happen that way, but what happened? Yeah, he did. So knight captures d6. Then we have queen recapturing on d6. Queen captures 5, and Fabio is temporarily ahead by pawn. We had Ian playing knight f6. Queen sees Ian captures d5. Queen recaptures d5, and knight recaptures d5 as well. We had king h1, king h8, king h1, king h8. And at this point, it's purely a draw. It's 0-0, no advantage to any side. Repetition, king h1, king h8, king h1, king g8, and a draw was called in this position. It was such a flat game, no advantages. Every player was conscious, and that was their round one game. At least each had half a point. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to my next video.